you know that the origins of today's hypersonic missiles date back to the 1950s? During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were engaged in a fierce space race. Scientists asked the question, if rockets can go into space, can we create weapons that fly at unimaginable speeds in the atmosphere? In the 1960s, the US tested the legendary X-15 rocket plane, which reached Mach 6 times the speed of sound. This was a glimpse into the future, but the technology was not yet ready. The Soviets also conducted experiments on re-entry vehicles, but extreme heat and material limitations halted their progress. These early experiments did not produce operational weapons, but they sowed the seeds of a new era of warfare. This was merely the beginning of the hypersonic dream.
In the 1980s and 90s, the dream of hypersonic weapons never died. The United States launched experimental projects such as the X-43, targeting Mach 7 and beyond. These were short but groundbreaking test flights that proved hypersonic flight was possible. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was also pursuing its own secret programs. However, both sides faced the same problem: extreme heat and material limitations. Engines could only operate for a few seconds, and hypersonic missiles were still far from reality. By the year 2000, hypersonic technology was still merely an experiment, but the foundations of the modern era had finally been laid.
By the early 2000s, hypersonic technology was no longer just an experiment. It was becoming real. The United States pushed the limits with projects like the X-43A, which set a world record at Mach 9.6 in 2004. It proved that sustained hypersonic flight was possible. At the same time, Russia and China were secretly developing their own systems. They studied glide vehicles and scramjet engines, preparing for the next generation of weapons. But even with these breakthroughs, hypersonic missiles were not yet ready for the battlefield. Still, this period laid the foundation for the modern hypersonic arms race we see today. But what happened after 2015? In Part 4, we'll witness hypersonic weapons entering the battlefield. After 2015, the hypersonic arms race truly began. Russia led the way with the Avangard, a glide vehicle flying at over Mach 20, and the Zircon, a missile built to strike ships at incredible speed. China followed with the DF-ZF glide vehicle, proving it was ready to challenge US power. The United States, once confident in its lead, rushed to catch up with programs like ARRW and HAWC. But progress was slower than expected. For the first time, hypersonic missiles were no longer experiments. They became real, deployed weapons, reshaping global military strategy. But this is just the beginning. In Part 5, we'll look at the future of hypersonic warfare and the race to dominate it. Today, hypersonic missiles are no longer just the domain of superpowers. Russia leads with Avangard and Zircon, China advances with the DF-ZF, and the United States is still racing to perfect its own systems. But now, a new player has entered the stage: Iran. In recent years, Tehran has unveiled its own hypersonic missile programs, signaling a rapid and ambitious push into this high-tech arena. This move has raised alarms across the Middle East and beyond, showing that hypersonic technology is spreading faster than expected. As we look beyond 2025, the future of warfare is being rewritten. The hypersonic race is no longer about who can build them first, but who can control the balance of power in a world where speed is everything.